I think one of the great benefits in playing in the Big 12 is we're prepared to play in different styles. And we were trying to speed up the first game. Arkansas definitely has an aggressive attack, one of the highest scoring teams in college basketball. But we're prepared to play at whatever pace we need to be successful in the game. I think regardless of the pace, the ability to take away their great shots in transition is going to be important. They're going to take shots in transition. It's the way they play and the way they attack, but we got to make sure these aren't, wide open A-zone shots in the break. Likewise with us, just playing in the Big 12, we've had the experience of playing at different tempos offensively. So, we're going to have to manufacture enough offense to be successful in this game.
Certainly, you guys have been successful in the transfer market. They have a guy in Justin Smith from Indiana who transferred over there. How have you seen him in your preparation become a go-to scorer for them, and how he was successful yesterday in the previous game against Colgate? Pardon me.
Well, yesterday he had an amazing game. Arguably the best performance in the first round of this year's NCAA tournament. He's a guy that can affect the game in so many ways on both ends of the floor. I think specifically with transfers, the most important thing is fit. And I think Coach Muss and those guys have done a great job, putting him in positions to be successful. And I think he's done a great job, obviously, executing those things as the player. So it appears to me he's exactly what their team needed. And I don't know about his first situation at Indiana, but it looks like that it's a good situation for him too.
Last one from me. I know you talk about this all the time, especially with March basketball, but how important will it be to not turn the ball over, especially in a game yesterday where you guys forced 22, had 28 points off those turnovers, and Arkansas was able to get 34 points off turnovers in their contest?
Yeah, both teams, Texas Tech and Arkansas, have defenses that are based on and built, to create offense. And best way to do that is to make the opponent turn it over, block a shot, maybe get them to take a sped up, bad shot. And so I think we're similar to Arkansas in that way. It's two aggressive defenses. We play a little bit different, but I think the objective's the same on both sides. I think the thing that kills you is, the live ball turnovers. If we're gonna hand it to Arkansas every once in a while, we might as well just throw it out of bounds and let them throw it in. Then we got a fighting chance. If we're going to come down and just hand it to them, that's not going to work in our favor. And I think the same thing for them. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure it's not their idea to turn the ball over against us either. But two aggressive defenses, and then two teams I think that can score offensively as well.
Let's go to Chuck with Dallas Morning News.
Yeah, Chris, I was curious, especially when you have a lot of upsets in the tournament or some big upsets, especially in your bracket. Do you at all reference that with your players in terms of, hey, here's what can happen. Here are all the things that, why you need to take care of business?
No, I understand the question. I couldn't even tell you what bracket we're in, and I couldn't tell you what's going on. Anything outside of what I describe to the players each year is a 4-team tournament. So last Sunday, after Selection Show Sunday, we enjoyed watching our name get called. We paid attention to who was in our 4-team tournament. And then we immediately, went to work with our players. And I just described, hey, it's a 4-team tournament. Most important game is the first one. Then you're basically playing a championship game to try to reach the Sweet 16. So our first opponent, Utah State, was a really, really good team. I do know enough about Colgate that Arkansas's first-round opponent was also a very good team. So to me, I've always set it up as 4-game, 4-team, 2-game tournaments. I really couldn't even tell you who's in our bracket.
And different topic, but in your NCAA history at Tech, at least, you've never been outscored in the second half. What goes into the adjustments that you and your staff make with your players at halftime? What are some of the things that you're looking at, and how willing are you to change things a little bit on the fly?
Yeah, definitely willing to do whatever it takes to win a possession. I've had some great mentors in coaching, obviously Coach Knight at the top of that list, and Pat, and proudly associated with those guys. But I also work some really good people, whether it be Coach Casper or Shannon Hayes or Vic Trilly. I've spent some time with some great coaches. And one of the things I learned as a young assistant at Abilene Christian, who, by the way, is having a great season with Joe Golding. Wish those guys best of luck today against a Big 12 opponent. But one of the things I learned from Shannon Hayes was just, winning over anything. And so, it's like you talk to coaches about philosophy. Well, I really want a four-man that can shoot. Well, okay, what if you have a chance to get the best athlete in the country at that four spot, but shooting's not his deal? I think coaches that can adjust from year to year with your personnel, that's what college basketball is. In my eyes, it's always been that because of the jobs I've had, junior college, Division II, et cetera. But now I think with the new NCAA rules and the transfer market, the portal and all, I think basketball is roster management, in my opinion. So back to halftime adjustments. I mean, we'll do anything to win a possession. I remember Shannon Hayes would always, and we'd change our offense at halftime if he thought that's what we needed to do to win a game. So it was one of many things I picked up from several of my mentors. So at halftime, it's really a big picture thing. It's not a scientific lab in there. It's not like we sit around and think that we're the smartest guy in the room. We just, hey, what's working? Let's keep doing it. What's not working? Let's clean it up. And let's make sure we get back to the original game plan too. More times than not, the adjustment is just doing what you were supposed to be doing in the first place.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Bob Holt in Arkansas.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, you guys have been in the Sweet 16 the last two times, this tournament was able to be played. Arkansas hadn't made it since '96, which is kind of a shock, I think, to people that follow basketball. What do you think about that drought for Arkansas? And what's been the key to you guys getting the Sweet 16 the last two times?
How long has Coach Muss been there now?
The second season. He's been there with Nevada,
Yeah, so we played his Nevada team. They were special and made a great run. And I know the country fell in love with his daughter. That was pretty cool, March Madness. I've got three daughters that are pretty cool as well. My thing with history, nobody respects the game more than me. And but the big thing is, if I was Muss and somebody asked me that question, I would say, well, respectfully, I've only been here 2 years. Similar when we got to Texas Tech, everybody talked about we hadn't been in a tournament X years, never been past the Sweet 16. And I said, well, I respect that, but I mean, this is our second year. So, we made the Elite Eight in the second year. So, on the other hand, look, Arkansas is a special place to me. I grinded and worked as hard as I could for 2 decades in this business. And one man, Chase Conk, and one president at Little Rock, gave me an opportunity. So I will be forever grateful and appreciative of Chase, the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, the Trojans, while living in the state of Arkansas. You follow Arkansas basketball too. And, living in the capital city and all, it's just became kind of a fan of not only the universities, but also, just basketball in general. The GOAT, Coach Crawford, rest in peace, the AAU basketball, the high school coaching, Wes Flanagan's dad at Parkview. I used to just go there and watch practice as a fan all the time. So Arkansas is a basketball state, a lot of tradition. That is an interesting fact that they haven't been to this round in so many years, but in my mind, it's a basketball school, starting with, Coach Sutton in my lifetime, then Coach Richardson. I thought Mike did a great job there. And now Muss is just killing it year 2. So, nobody follows and, appreciates basketball in Arkansas more than me.
Well, what do you think is the key to getting the Sweet 16? Is it about matchups? Is it about being hot? Is it about luck? Maybe a little bit. Just what all goes into that?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to get in the tournament every year. Like when we got to Tech, and even Little Rock was the same thing. Those of you that remember, but we said, look, if we're going to win the fight, you got to get in the fight. So, if you're not one of the 68, you're not going to make the Sweet 16. But on the other hand, I think if you get in the 68 on a consistent basis, then, you got a chance to get in the 16, the 8, the 4, and then the Monday night. So You got to get in the tournament to make a run in the tournament, and that's really hard to do. Like I've been on both ends of it. The mid-major deal, Little Rock, Sun Belt. It's just, to me, it's the biggest pressure of anything in basketball. Like I never coached or played in a Super Bowl or World Series, but when you have a great season like we did at Little Rock, and you got to go win that tournament to get in, that's a pressure that I've never felt before. It's really hard to get in the tournament, and you get in the SEC or the Big 12. It's not easy. I mean, it's very, very difficult to win a Big 12 game. And it's very difficult to win enough to get the resume. So I think that's why the Selection Show Sunday is the big day. I mean, just to get in the fight, now you got a chance, but it's very difficult to get in the fight. This year, the blue bloods of our sport, the goats of the sport, the Kentuckys and Dukes aren't in the tournament. And it's just really, really hard to get in the tournament. But I think the key to making a run, the key to making a Sweet 16 is getting there every year, giving yourself a chance.
I just got one more. You were talking about roster management a minute ago. Eric's got 9 newcomers this year, so some of whom were hurt. But what do you think about the job he did with so many newcomers? And they kind of start off rough in the SEC, and Smith was hurt, and then they really got on a run. What do you thought he's done with this new roster?
Well, I think, to me, it's the outside looking in. I haven't talked to Coach about this, but you asked the question to me, and I'll answer it. Like, I think it's what he does. It goes back to his experience in the minor league pro basketball, the NBA. I mean, it's like, it is roster management. It's trades. It's this guy retires, this guy comes in. It's in my perspective, coaching one of these guys that grew up in basketball, thinking, well, my freshmen are going to turn to sophomores, my sophomores are going to turn to juniors. In the NBA, you don't say, hey, this owner's going to let me have 6 years to build this. I mean, there's an urgency to win immediately. In my path, that's what I've always felt. In junior college, you don't build anything. You try to win and help your guys get scholarships and change lives. And Division II, your roster's constantly changing. In my professional basketball experience in South Carolina, we were kind of like a farm league. We were getting players when they would go back to Europe or back to an NBA opportunity. We didn't have anybody go straight to the NBA, but a couple guys went to G League. The roster changes. So, I think if there's anybody in the country that can take 9 new players and put it together quickly, it's guys that's done it before.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Scotty Bordelon.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I'm curious what you see from Jalen Tate in terms of what he brings to the floor for Arkansas at that lead guard spot, and then Devontae Davis, the freshman 2 guard. Just kind of what jumps out to you and your staff about him.
Yeah, I like both guys' versatility. I think their coaching staff setting them up very, very well. One-day prep, I'm really good with numbers. Make sure I'm right. Tate's 11. He's a long kind of Rajon Rondo type point guard body. He looks to me like he's fearless on both ends of the floor. I think he might be their best defender in terms of reliability and doing what he's supposed to do. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, as we've prepared, for hours now. I like their team. Their freshmen are playing like they're not freshmen. And that's another key thing I think you got to do in college basketball. Like, Micah Peavy for us is not a freshman anymore. He's started most of the games this year. He's played a lot of minutes. So I think when you get to this point, you really don't have freshmen, if that makes sense. You've got guys that have played 20, 25, 30 games. And I think that's true for Arkansas's young players. I like their team. I've called several games this year, just watching games as a basketball guy. And, no doubt about it. They're deserving of their ranking, their seed. They obviously played their best basketball the last month of the season. They can play different styles. They game plan very well. They got a great fan base. And so this is a good team. We're going to have to play our best game of the season. And we're prepared to do that. That's the objective. And we're not scared of that challenge, but it's the reality that faces us. We'll have to play our best 40 of the season, I think, to be successful in this game.
All right, let's go to Eric Kelly.
Coach, having played an Eric Musselman team and now watching a different school but same coach on tape, what do those kind of philosophies of his teams that stand out to you as being constants?
Well, in my opinion, because I've never talked to coach about that, but I think there's an aggressiveness and a swag, and a confidence and an enthusiasm and a passion. And what I do know about coach is, he's a basketball guy. Um, I don't think he sits around thinking what he's going to do after coaching. I don't think he's probably working on his law degree behind the scenes. I mean, basketball guy, right? Loves it, eats it, drinks it, sleeps it. That's my perspective, and knowing some NBA people that have played for him or with him and what have you. So, and I respect that. I respect what kind of dad he is too. He got one of his sons on the staff, and we've already mentioned his daughter and her NCAA moments. And so it looks like he's got a great family. And it's just somebody that I got respect for. His teams play hard. You're not going to go out there and every once in a while you can get a gift in a college basketball season where the other team just doesn't bring their A game. Doesn't happen ever in this tournament, but it happens sometimes during the season. But that's not going to happen with an Arkansas team. They're going to play hard. We know that. They're going to be aggressive. We know that. They're going to game plan. There's going to be some things that we don't know that are going to come. So we got to anticipate the unanticipated. Is that a do? Expect the unexpected. Anticipate the unanticipatable. I don't know about that, but that's what he does. He always throws a different wrinkle. You know what? You watch every game. I didn't see that last game. So to me, that's kind of NBA philosophy. He's a matchup guy.
And real quick, being kind of the basketball history guy that you are, what's the cool aspect of being able to play in these kind of like basketball cathedrals almost of the sport in Assembly Hall and now Hinkle?
Yeah, I do think it's cool. I was one of those guys when it first said, well, we're going to have the whole NCAA tournament in Indianapolis. I didn't immediately say, oh, that sucks. I immediately said, man, this could be cool. Because sometimes I think different is good. Like I love variety and diversity and everything I do. Eat, music. So I like this. The NCAA tournament's obviously special because our whole country is involved with the regions and stuff. No doubt about it. It's the best, period. But this year, instead of sitting around talking about what we can't do, let's talk about what we can do. And I think this is really cool. We got to play in Assembly Hall. Obviously, that's a special place. And now we get to play in Hinkle. So, everybody's seen Hoosiers. And then you go a step further and about the historical games that were played in there, the different things. I know coming to Indianapolis, it used to be the Nike camp and then some recruiting, junior college. We spent some time down here. One of the best players I ever coached, Will Jones, was from Indianapolis. I coached him in 2001 at Seminole State College. So spent some time in this state. And every time we're here, we drive by it, just to kind of check it out and take a picture in front of it and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think if I've ever been inside it. I don't think I have. So it'll just be cool to be there, and we'll embrace it. I know it's a game. I know we got to be business-like, but I mean, dude, when we go in there, we're going to smell the roses for at least a quick minute and check it out. And then we'll get focused and try to win the game.
Let's go to Joe Yeager.
Hey, Coach, looking at the current Arkansas, yeah, I got it. All right. No delay or anything. You can hear. That's cool. But looking at the current Arkansas team and then comparing that to the Nevada team that you faced 3 years ago, I guess it was, does it look to you like Musselman has evolved his system, or is this kind of a little bit of a mirror image team with just different personnel?
Yeah, I wouldn't know enough to be a expert on that. I remember the Nevada team had some NBA players, the twin brothers, and then the transfer from, they had another guy, about 6'5" guy who was a dynamite player. I keep wanting to say Rice, but I don't think that's
Jordan
right.
Caroline.
Yeah, Caroline. He's special, man. They spread you out. They run the NBA ISOs and sets, and he picks on people defensively. I see a lot in this year's team. They again have NBA players, no doubt about it. You can tell his DNA is on the teams. The aggressiveness, the spacing, but then obviously it's changed a little bit too. That Nevada game was many river trips and many academic study halls ago. So I remember a little bit about it, but not a lot.
And I was wondering if you could just take us through a day in your life before the day before the NCAA tournament game, like today, what you do sun up to sunrise, your routine.
Yeah, we're working really hard as a staff. We got everybody on our staff with individual responsibilities. We work, we come back and meet, we work, we come back and meet. To me, the most important thing is organization and efficiency. The biggest threats to organization and efficiency, I think, is distractions. And there's a lot of them around here. So we try to eliminate our distractions and we just try to get things done for the players. In the meantime, we try to stay very organized for the players so that their life really doesn't change. They feel like we got 2 days to play Kansas. We're giving them information, but we're trying to do it in a deliberate way, in a time attention span way. So, so I don't, we're working really hard. Then we meet as a staff. We work really hard, meet as staff. Then we bring the players in, show them the information, and don't want to give them too much, but certainly want to give them as much as we possibly can. Not a lot of sleep right now. I think when you get down to that night before the game, there's not much you can do. To me, the earlier you can get the game plan in and spend your last couple of sessions to review is best. But the night before the game, get a little rest to make sure you're on your A game. But before that, it is a grind. No doubt about it. And we're no different than anybody else. I mean, everybody's working and everybody's getting after it. It would be pretty cool, like for somebody to kind of follow somebody around, and see the whole deal. It's really interesting. I was floored when we made the NCAA tournament year one with Coach Knight. We had a really good team with Andy Ellis and Andre Emmett and Mikey Marshall and those guys. Andy was our senior. We had finished third in the Big 12. We got beat the first round by a basketball trivia here, a Bruce Weber, Southern Illinois team. But that was my first experience with Coach Knight in an NCAA tournament, and watching the preparation was amazing. Before that, I'd been to the tournament with Coach Tom Penders, and his approach is really, really cool and confident. So it's interesting how different coaches do it. But I think we all kind of are trying to get the same thing done, right? Prepare your team, be efficient. Got to get you guys a lot of rest too. Like these things can be tiresome. These NCAA tournament games, for some reason, they're a little bit different than a regular game. They really are. So I really believe in trying to get the guys' legs back too and get them as much rest as we can.
I knew I didn't play that well the first half, and like the team feeds off my energy, and I got going the second half, and they just kept coming to me, and I was able to produce for the team.
Last one from me. In terms of Arkansas, I don't know how much prep you guys have done so far, but just what do you know about them and what kind of challenges they pose for you?
They know they're a real scrappy team. They get out and run, and they got a lot of good players. We just got to be prepared to be in for a fight.
All right, let's go to Bob from Arkansas.
Hey, Terence, how you doing? Looks like statistically anyway, and the times I've seen you guys play, you guys want to maybe control the tempo more against a team like Arkansas that really likes to get up and down. How do you see sort of the battle of wills there as far as controlling the tempo? What are the challenges there?
We know Arkansas likes to get out and run, and we just have to manage to stop that and limit their fast break and transition points. We know the last game they had about 34 points off turnovers, and we just got to try to take care of the ball and limit them getting out in transition.
Now, do you think you guys do a pretty good job of taking care of the ball, or how would you say you guys? I know the Big 12 is a really tough league. How would you say you guys have done against pressure this year, and what do you expect from Arkansas in that regard?
I feel like we did really well against pressure this year, minus the game against Baylor where we had 20 turnovers. But I feel like before that and after that game against Baylor, we really took care of the ball. And just like yesterday, we only had 8 turnovers, I believe. And we're just doing a good job taking care of the ball right now.
I just had one more. Have you ever been in Hinkle Fieldhouse? Just wondering it's a pretty historical venue, and I know Hoosiers was way before your time, but just wondering maybe you've seen that. What your thoughts are on getting to play in Hinkle Fieldhouse?
I actually haven't been in it, but I'm honored to play in that stadium, arena, and I just can't wait to get there tomorrow and see how it is.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's go to Chuck from Dallas.
Yeah, I was just curious if you guys, I know you're just focused on the Arkansas game, but if you're watching, keeping track of any of the other results in the tournament and you see some of the upsets, you use that as a little bit of a lesson here that, hey, anything can happen. And, we've got to be at our best.
Yeah, after the game, after we won against Utah State, the guys that I was on the bus with, we were watching the Ohio State and Oral Roberts game together, like on the phone, and we were just shocked that Ohio State lost, and that really showed us, like you said, that anything can happen in March, and you got to be ready to play each and every day.
And I don't know if you were aware of this or not, but since Coach Beard has been at Texas Tech in all the NCAA tournament games, nobody's outscored Tech in the second half. I was just curious, what makes them good at making adjustments in the second half, or what makes you guys, you think, a better second half team?
I actually didn't know that the second half, but one thing I do know is coach and his guys, they're gonna have us prepared a lot, and they spent hours and hours on film, and they know how to make adjustments. And at halftime, they look at the stats and see where we're doing good and where we're doing bad, and they make a fix to it. And I feel like we did a better job with that against Utah. Bean had 8 rebounds the first half. Next half, he didn't have any. And that's an example right there. Us executing what they tell us at halftime.
All right, let's go to Eric Kelly.
Terrence, I was just wondering, for you offensively, what has kind of allowed you to, what causes you to kind of be able to get into some of those grooves? Because it seems like even against Utah State, obviously the second half was a lot better, and it's been that way in a couple of the games. What about kind of getting into that flow of the game has allowed you to find yourself offensively?
Well, for like you said, for Utah State, at halftime, my teammates were just telling me, they need me, and I was just taking it all in, and we were all in this together. They held it down the first half, and I was able to come alive the second half and produce for our team. And they just kept feeding me, building up my confidence, and I feed off them, and they feed off me. So when I'm energized, they're energized. If they're making shots, I'm energized, rooting for them. So basically, like us feeding off each other, it's kind of what helps me.